And yeah, so today I want to speak about PWA Studio development. Yeah, I think the intro I can skip. Thank you so much for the nice intro. And maybe one thing about Tech Division, we are based in south of Germany, really close to the Alps and wonderful nature. And we doing mostly big e-commerce projects based on Magento, or our main area is doing Magento projects. And yeah, so before we want to start, I think we make a short alignment because PVA is a really new technology, and it's maybe, yeah. So what is PVA? PVA is a tool set or a name for, and with PVA we try to close the gap between a traditional website and a mobile application. And a PVA combines benefits from a mobile native application and a web page. So what we can do with a PVA, we can have it installed on our mobile phone. With this, we have the possibility to use push notifications like, hey, now your order is shipped. We can use geolocalization like you're close to our shop, or you're sitting in Rosenheim and there we have one shop. Do you want to register your shirt there and pick up it there? You can pick up today there. This we can do. We have a camera support. This is really nice. If you're scanning a label or something like that, you can search for a picture in a shop or something like that. This is possible. Microphone support, like, hey, it's possible to implement some voice search in your PVA application. Yeah, we have a mobile first approach. This means our application is designed for mobile devices. If your target group is really focused on mobile devices, PVA will help you a lot. We have offline support. Offline support in this case means we have a possibility to having shortly no internet connections. It's built for like an elevator, 2 or 3 minutes. Data is already preloaded on your mobile device, and you can go in the catalog and click on products and open them. This is really cool for customer and experience. Sensor detections, yeah. I don't have a real use case in e-commerce there, but yeah, this is all. So how Magento design PWA Studio? PWA Studio is their own application. We have here our online shop. We have here a service worker, a web manifest, HTTP, and our application cache. Our shopper visits the front end, and we have here a middleware. Which middleware doesn't matter currently, I will describe later. And we have here our GraphQL API and our Magento backend. This is how PWA Studio is designed. It's your own application. You need to deploy somewhere, or you can deploy somewhere standalone. So let's speak about PWA Studio components and responsibilities. We have Page Builder. The Page Builder is Magento first PWA Studio extensions. They use their targets to hook the Page Builder in the application. You can, it's really standalone. It's their own folder, and they only need targets to the new Extensibility Framework. What is the Extensibility Framework? I will describe later. Then we have Paragreen, and this is our hook library. There you find every hook or custom hooks, and there is where the business logic happens. We have PVA build pack. This thing allows us to start a node server for production, as well a development watch. We see this later in the demo. We have Upward.js. Upward.js is our definition for our middleware. It allows us to having something between PWA Studio and our Magento. It handles requests, and also we have implementation of Upward in PHP. This is currently required for Magento Cloud. You install Upward PHP on your cloud instance, but the cloud team is working on in the pro version on it's possible to start a node server soon. I don't know when it will happen, but I heard maybe end of this year it's possible to book a node server in a pro instance, and then you can deploy your PWA on Node. This is really cool using Node. If you can use Node, use Node because PHP handling is okay, but from my point of view, Node is the way to go with PWA. So as I already mentioned, we have here our progressive web app, our Upward, and our Magento server. So next components. Venia concept. Yeah, this was the old approach from Venia. There are some responsibility left there, but I don't know what is the plan about this package currently. Venia style guide. There you can find our stylings or our component stylings. And Venia UI. This is this thing holds all UI components. So which technologies we using? We have, first of all, GraphQL for communicating with Magento. We have React. We have Webpack. Somebody is talking in the background.
Yeah. Hi guys, please consider muting your connection, please. I see a lot of you have not muted your mic.
Yeah, and we have Apollo. Apollo is our client implementation of GraphQL. This allows us to connect with our GraphQL API. And this thing has a really nice caching solution in it. Apollo is widely used in the React community and very well tested. If you communicating with GraphQL, definitely you need to use Apollo. So let's speak about extensibility. Extensibility is built in Magento PWA Studio Science version 6. And the approach how we did it is we using some phrase, it's targets. Targets allows us to adding additional logic to PWA Studio. So first, targets are based in Venia UI. We can define our own rich content renderer. A rich content renderer is something what is parsed by our React application. If you hit the site, a rich content renderer will used to render the content what we can get from Magento. And if you're building our own extension, like our own CMS extension or our own thing what needs to render differently, you can define a rich content renderer. How it works, you can see in the page builder component, because page builder is using this rich content renderer API. adding own rich content renderer to render page builder content in the Magento frontend. So next thing, we can add routes. This means in Magento PWA Studio, we have the possibility to adding own React routes. And with this, we can build own static sites or own CMS sites or own contact forms or something like that. So here you can find the references of which targets we have. Take a look on the docs. Our docs team working currently on tutorials. Also, you find some tutorials on my blog. And as Atish already mentioned, I try to cover many content as well on my YouTube or stream channel, because this is a really new feature. And one point about extensibility. Yeah, currently it's allowed to build your own extension. But currently we don't have so much extension points there. But we have a possibility to adding own extension points. How this works, I will show you in the next slides. So we have also the possibility to adding own hooks, own wrapper for hooks. This means we can add own wrapper around use app. Use app wrapped with my extension locker wrapper. This means every time if somebody in my application or in PWA Studio application call use app, an interceptor pattern will happens, and it will. It's mostly like the around plugin in Magento 2. We have the possibility to around our existing thing with their own functionality. This is a really good pattern, but from my point of view, around plugins, if you're having multiple arounds on one business logic, it can be hard to find where the request is changed. You need to define how many arounds, or if you want to only have one around, and how you can change data. And yeah. So next thing, we have build targets. Build targets allow us to hook in the build process of PWA Studio. And this is a really strong method because we can having own bubble plugins. And with bubble, we have the possibility to define own bubble plugins and backpack plugins. And this allows us like having some JSX around plugin, some code injection plugin. And this is really deep, but also really complex to understand. And our goal in the core team, what I discussed with James Sarton, is trying to provide more extension points over Bubble or over Webpack, and having something like a JSX transform around every component. But currently this thing is working in progress, and extensibility is working in progress. Maybe end of this year we have more extension points. But yeah, currently with the current state, it's not so easy to develop extensions. But with a scaffolded project, you have already a possibility to build your own theme and having your own mopo repo structure. Yeah. So, and also we have a target. This allows us to adding special flags to our own extensions. So, yeah, we want to have some live coding. I will develop some short extensions or a short extension. So first of all, we need an empty project. For this, we run yarn create add Magento PVA. This thing runs the yarn create command from the repository, and now we need to give a name like test, or we want a package JSON, me as author. I want to have a demo instance there, Braintree demo token. We want to use Yarn there because then we can use Yarn workspaces later. And Yarn workspaces are a really good method to structure your own projects. If you start a project like a own theme or own component, start with Yarn workspaces and combine them in a monorepo structure like PWA Studio it does. So we want to install our all dependencies. So now we can go in our PHP storm. So now we have here our empty project. What we need there? We need first of all a place where our extension can be placed. So let's create a folder. Hello world. Let's go in the folder. The session is wrong. So let's go in the folder. Test source hello world and do a yarn init there. So he asked us now about the name. I want to use my folder name. This helps us later with yarn link, version 1, description. What is our entry point? Our entry point is source slash intercept.js. JS. Repo where we don't have mid license, yes. It should be private. So this creates us a package JSON. So first of all, we need to create this file. The intercept file is our main file. And if you're forgetting to define the main file, it leads to strange errors, and you're searching a while to find why your extension don't work. So this file can be empty first. Next, we need peer dependencies. Peer dependencies allows us to say our package need following extensions installed, and without this extension, it don't works. So what we need Magento / PVA build pack in version 6. We need Magento / Linear UI and star. We need React in version 16.9.0. And we need React router and version. Okay. So now let's register our PWA Studio extension. This we can do with PWA Studio targets intercept.js. This is our intercept file. Okay. So this is our main file and also our main extension point. So what we need next? We need a module export there. Let's write it. We need module.exports equals targets arrow function. So now we can use our targets of I will copy it because it's if you do a typo there, it will search a while. So we have flags there. Okay. These things register our module as ES module and CSS module. CSS we need later. First we start with the empty project. So now our extension has an extension point. Okay, what we need next? We need a new directory, a root component. Our root components in Magento are the main entry points of a route. So let's create a new file, hello-world.js. In my example, I want to add a simple route. So let's import React and say const hello world equal arrow function returns a div and h1 hello world. So now we need an export default from hello world. So now we can add our route there. For this, we having the possibility to use Linear UI targets. So, and now we can say routes.push. This exact object, first parameter is name. We use hello world. Second parameter is pattern, where our route will listen to which URL. We say hello slash question a double point operator name question mark. This is optional parameter in React Route. You will find this thing in the React Router docs, how you can define optional and required parameters. And React Router is a really cool thing. So, and next we need our component. For that, I copy the absolute path and say path, double point, and this. So now we use the path of at Elastratic hello world, so hello world.js, because our extension will be later installed on the Elastratic at hello world in the yarn package. So, okay, we have now our module exports, we have a package JSON. So let's define our module in the main. This thing can be later replaced by a yarn install or something like that if you published your extension, and you can install it as dependency. For development, there's also a good solution because you can use a link annotation, and this links us the package to our folder. For that, we need to use link double point and our root copy absolute path to this. So now we need to go in our scaffolded project folder back. So first of all, I want to have a valid SSL certificate. For that, I go in my folder and run yarn create. Now I have a SSL certificate. Now I can use yarn install, and I also need service static word. There I want to need a yarn install, so ls, okay, there I'm correct. Yarn watch. So, and if I made everything correct, I have now a possibility to enter my hello controller. Let's see if it works. It's my first live coding. And this takes a while because it's loading everything behind and combining this. So, oh, cool. We have the hello world page. So, next thing, we need next thing we want to have our optional parameter parsed by our application. For that, we need import use use params from. Can you mute yourself? I cannot do this currently because I'm in the presentation mode and this is really hard for me. Please mute yourself. I can hear some background noise and it's really hard for me. Thank you. Can you still see me or?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Because now, so, okay. Next thing, what we need is a const, and we need to export our name from use params. Use params is a hook from a React router, and it passes every parameter to this. And if we define double point name, this is a parameter, and every double point thing is parsed to this and can be extracted by object annotation. So next, we want to have our message defined by our structure. So let's add a message there and say if is our name defined, then I want to have h1 hello name. This allows us in React to parse parameters in templates or in JSX. And if not, we want to have our hello world. So now we can removing this or switching this. So okay. Oh. Okay, let's restart the build process. Sometimes you need to restart the build process because optional parameters are a special thing, but I don't know where I have my error currently because the optional parameter is not legal. But let's do some debugging. flat. Oh. Okay, now it works. And this is what I mean with if you don't see your changes, sometimes the build process died behind because currently we have some memory leak, but best way is to restart your watch process. So next thing, what we need next, we want to have some styling there. So how we can do this? I go now to Linear UI and take a look on existing component, how styling works there. So let's go in Linear UI components and use the product sort JS because this is a small component. So what we see there, we see we have merged classes from classify, and we have here our default import. We need both. So for that reason, this file we can close, this file can we close. Let's do some split. This was wrong. This was better. So first, we need some CSS. Let's define it. Hello minus world dot CSS. And now we define there a root and say text origin center and color. I don't know. Blue violet. It will be ugly, but I'm not a designer. So padding, we want to have 10 in our case. So now we can import our hello world CSS from default classes. So next we need merge classes. And there is one really good rule. If you have local imports, make an empty line between library and local imports from your package. It really helps to see where your package comes from. And yeah, so there we need to make it very easy, you can go to classify, copy the absolute path of it, and removing all before Magento linear classify. So now we need const classes, merge classes from default classes. This allows us to injecting our own styles, define class names dot root. Yeah. And now we have a hot reloaded page with our style thing. So what we can do next? I think from my point of view, what we did, we create our own extension. We adding optional parameters and having some conditional rendering. This is all from my side today. If you have any questions, I would like to open now the questions area and maybe speak about a little bit about some topics. Thank you for listening me.
Yeah, Lars, I think we have some questions in the chat.
In the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't read this. How I can come there? I don't see the chat fenster. I see a small little window, but I don't see the chat.
Oh, okay. So let me read it out for you and maybe you can answer.
Yeah, sure. Ah, no,
Okay.
it works. Now I stopped sharing.
Okay. Can you see the chat window now?
Yeah, I see the chat. Oh, good question. Let's take a look on the dev docs. But there is already a pull request for targets to wrap with, and I don't know when it will be finished, but I think it should be all hooks now hookable. Maybe not in the latest release. This is a point where I also need to check because this target API is really new. So start sharing again. We are now in the DevDocs. If you go to the DevDocs site, we have here our documentation. And this is our Pilgrim hook. And list of wrappable tailings. We have possibility to use app. I think all of them should be wrappable, but I don't try it currently. To answer your question, I think you need to try it out. If it don't work, please open my issue. And let's see if we can this thing done quickly.
I think we have another question in the chats. It's from Max. It says that, is there a way to transfer original Magento to front end to PWA in a quick way?
Yeah, really hard question to answer. What do you mean by traditional front end? Do you mean you have already written extensions, or do you have already written customizations? Then the answer will be like, no, there's no migration path currently. And also, I think we don't want to have a migration path because PVA Studio works completely different. We don't want to have a fallback structure for components, because fallback structure is really hard to debug and really hard to understand. And also we have or don't have currently some layout XML approach, but maybe we will have a similar approach in the future. But still, then we have complete different technologies, because we have here React and JavaScript applications, and the old front end is a PHP application. And main answer, I think you need to rewrite all things by your own.
Okay. Another question that was sent was, is there a quick doc or a tutorial where I can find a way to implement a new theme in PWA Studio? So I think this is the same how we create child themes in Magento. Is there a same way to implement the themes in PWA Studio?
I think from my point of view, it makes sense to start with a scaffolded project. To do this, you can do here like own directory, and I recommend to use what is the name? I have it on my blog. I know I have it on my blog, but I forget every time the name. No, this was not. This is the correct link. Over Venia UI override resolver from Fuman. This small extensions allow us or allows you to overriding already existing things in Venia UI. A main problem of this is you can have multiple overrides. A multiple override means if you install an extension and you have your theme customization already in place, you will have definitely a conflict. There's currently now a good way to having some merging of JSX. And if you're searching for JSX, and this is why we try to have some wrap with JSX in the future. But yeah, currently, as I already mentioned, this is a really hard topic, and I think we need some time to get this thing done. But first, you can start with a scaffolded project and using Venia UI overrider rights resolver and getting already a possibility to start with your own theme. Also, you can use the hooks from Pellegrin and starting completely developing your own theme based on the hooks library. This is also a second possibility. What do you have? Hopefully this answers your question.
Yeah, I think that answers the question. Another one that I have is about upward.js. Is that used only for server-side rendering, or it does serve any other purpose in the project?
Oh, let's take a look on the documentation side. I think we don't have really a server-side rendering. We have currently some rendering on the client side. This is why we have currently a bad page speed if you start with a new Venia project. But I know there is already some tickets in the background to improving this. So we have Upward provides similar communication. I think the best case is to reading the docs. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And another question is quite similar to this, like how good is PWA Studio for SEO optimization? Does it have support for SEO plus Google Tag Manager?
SEO plus? What do you mean by SEO plus?
For SEO optimization. So basically, if like a crawler comes in and Google Tag Manager, like the one that we have in normal Magento themes, where we can push events of e-commerce events to Google Tag Manager.
There's a frequently answered or frequently questions on the FAQ page, and the answer is no. We have currently the possibility to use a server-side rendering like a SEO snap or a pre-rendered IO. This is the way to get a SEO optimized site. If you don't install one of this tool, you don't have a nice score.
Okay.
But hopefully end of this year or end of, I don't know, let's go on the repository because we have there a release line. Magento / PWA Studio. And there should be a README and there should be a wiki. And roadmap. Yeah, this is the roadmap. And in the roadmap, you find which topic is planned for which for which year, and here we have SEO optimization and server-side rendering. It's planned for the end of this year.
Okay, that's nice. And I think I have one final question that is related to deployment. So, is there a clear like document in which it is given the roadmap or like the pipeline to how to deploy a proper PWA Studio project onto production?
Mm, I think for a deployment, we have currently only the Cloud docs are really good, and also we have here some short sections how you can build and start your own server. I planned to have a production guideline like or how you can build a production pipeline on a node server. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks online, but currently I'm fighting with some problems in my Docker containers or in my Linux containers. And currently for Node.js, there's no a good documentation. For cloud, we have a really good documentation, how you can install it, etc., how you can get sample data. But I totally understand if you don't have a cloud instance, you need also a way how you can install it. Maybe it's also good to have a tutorial there.
Okay, okay, great. And I think we have another question is that where can we start with PWA Studio? I think that was explained. Uh, Customization also good. Okay, how good is it in multilingual support?
Multi-link where E189 support is currently on our roadmap, and we have already 1 or 2 pull requests. If you go there and search for maybe it's already merged. Yeah, it's already merged. You see in the closed, there was provide ability to translate header and footer, and this is epic. Hopefully, it is finished next month, end of next month, because it's a really large feature. And also, there is a pull request. If you go there from Chris. Or maybe it's better to go to the issue. Linear localization. Yeah, from Chris Barbrander. He was working on a pull request on a hackathon, and there's already this solution from him. What he creates in a hackathon is now migrating to Magento Core, but I think the pull request still exists. Oh yeah, it still exists. And this is this one. And you see it's a really large one. And the core team use a different approach for a translation library. This is one really thing where you need to take a look. I think he used E18 Next, and the core team use a different solution for translating localization.
Okay. And finally, I have another question from Max is that is there a roadmap of introducing Redux in the PWA Studio?
Main approach from the core team is we don't want to have less dependencies as we can get. And from my point of view, if you know about where which state happens, and do you know where state exists in your React application, you don't need Redux. Redux makes things sometimes easier, but mostly if you don't use it correct, or if you don't use it for it was built for, it adds only a additional layer. Most things in React you can solve already with the internal tools. There is a really good discussion we had, I think yesterday or 2 days ago on Twitter. If you want, I can share you the blog link later. I need to search it. When you need to use Redux and when it makes sense to use own hooks and having a global state injected over parent components, because then you can also handle re-rendering, etc. And global state management, from my point of view, is really hard to test. If you have something what can change by multiple components and you need to test it, it's really hard.
Okay. I think we answered all the questions that were asked. So Laz, can you make me the host again? So I have a couple of things I would like to share before we
Yes.
move on.
Sure. Now I need to search the right one. So hopefully you
Yeah,
get a
I
host.
can see the pop-up that I was made host. Just one sec. Where is Zoom? Okay, Zoom is here. I need to share. This is there. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Okay, great. So moving on. The presentation or the walkthrough that was given to us today from Les is very short because we had a very short span of time to give you the demo, but he also has uploaded a YouTube video on his channel, which actually walks you through the entire live coding session, but in a much more detail. So if you are interested, please do visit this link and you will be able to view the entire video of the walkthrough. Also, I would like to announce a Reacticon conference. So this is another conference which is happening from a month from now. So it's happening in October. This is Reacticon version 3 and it is happening online and it's completely free. So please consider joining this if you want to learn more about PWA and front-end technologies related to Magento and alternatives. So they have a big I think, a roster of speakers who will be talking about PWA Studio, View Storefront, and other alternatives, as well as, I think, a really topic that I'm waiting for is the advanced JS bundling and how to get a good score on the Google, I think, Lighthouse tool. So please do consider going to this, joining the conference on Slack. So this is the link below provided. So it's reacticon.org. So I think it is organized by Jesse every year. And this year it was converted to online because of the COVID situation. Also, they have a channel on Vimeo where they have talks that have happened in their previous events as well. So please do consider joining this conference as well if you are interested in learning more about PWA. And I think also Laz would also be one of the speakers there. So that's good. So time for a 5-minute break. So I would suggest everybody take a 5-minute break, get your refreshments, and then we can move on.